আসসালামু আলাইকুম সবাইকে। আমরা একটু শিডিউল টাইমের একটু ৩-৪ মিনিট আগেই শুরু করে দিচ্ছি আমাদের সেশনটা বিকজ আমাদের যে গেস্ট কেন উইলিয়ামসন ও আমাদের সাথেই আছে। আহ, আহ, ওর ব্যাপারে বলার কিছু নেই। আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে এমন কোনো ক্রিকেট ফ্যান নাই ওয়ার্ল্ডে যে ওর খেলা অথবা ওকে অ্যাজ আ পার্সন পছন্দ করে না। আহ, আর আমি যখনই ওর সাথে খেলি আমি ওর থেকেও অনেক কিছু শিখতে পেরেছি জীবনে, হাও ও কত কাম থাকে। যখনই কোনো সিচুয়েশন আসে না কেন ওর রিয়াকশন কোনো সময় চেঞ্জ হয় না। তো এইসব নিয়ে আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে আজকে যে আমরা সেশনটা করব, আমার কাছে মনে হয় এটা ইন্টারেস্টিং হবে। কারণ 2015 ওয়ার্ল্ড কাপের কথা বলবো, যখন ওরা সাউথ আফ্রিকার সাথে হেরে যায়। আর সাউথ আফ্রিকার সাথে যখন ওরা জিতে কোয়ালিফাই করে, আর ঠিক 2019-এ ওরা ফাইনালটা হেরে যায়। তো এইসব রিয়েকশন নিয়ে জানতে চাবো যে ড্রেসিং রুমের মধ্যে কি হচ্ছিল না হচ্ছিল। তো এইসব নিয়ে আলাপ করব। আর সময় বেশি নষ্ট না করে আমি ওকে ইনভাইট করে আমরা আহ, আমাদের সেশনটা শুরু করে দিই। মিনাস, যদি কেনকে একটু প্লিজ লাইফে নিয়ে আসো। Hi Kane, how are you?
Tamim, good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Firstly, thanks for doing this, Kane. This means a lot, especially you know that what's happening throughout the world,
Mm.
and so I really appreciate for you to joining me. And good. So let first tell me how's New Zealand doing?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, Tamim, as well. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's a remarkable time in the world at the moment, and it seems that sort of every country's at quite different stages at trying to deal with this virus. So, my thoughts are with Bangladesh, and I certainly hope that they're able to stem the curve, as a lot of countries have put it, sooner rather than later. And also very sorry to hear about the cyclone that's come through, and I hope people there are healthy and positive.
Yeah, Ken. Yeah, the cyclone hit us, but it not as strong as what happened in Kolkata and in some part of India.
Okay.
But we are all right with the cyclone. But yeah, so I think New Zealand is doing well with especially with the cases regarding Corona, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I think we've had 4 days in a row where we haven't had a case. And I think from a country's perspective, we're fortunate in a lot of ways. We're an island with a very small population that has allowed us to sort of handle the situation really progressively, and we've been in lockdown for a period of time, and only in the last sort of week, I think we had maybe 6 weeks or so in lockdown, give or take, and the last maybe week where we've been able to get out, and it has proved to be really, really effective in slowing the spread of the virus to a point, like I say, where we haven't had cases for a few days now, which is great news for us. But it's a challenge for the world to take on together. So as we know, we all function together, and us with the country having achieved what we have is great, but we're certainly very aware of some of the challenges that other countries are having, and like I say, we're thinking of them.
Yeah, true, Kane, because the population here in Bangladesh is huge, and we, as a country size, we are not big enough, but we have a huge population. So the challenges we are facing at the moment is, and our government is facing, because uh, we have a daily earner. There are a lot of poor people who earns daily.
Mm.
So if you put the country in complete lockdown, the poor people they will struggle with the food.
Yeah.
So what the government is trying to do is slowly trying to open some sector of businesses, so that at least the poor can earn and at least they can survive. Because if you don't do this kind of thing, then
Mm.
there will be lot more cases, less cases through Corona, and then lot more through
That's right. Yeah.
hunger.
Yeah.
So yeah, the situation is not great, as you know, but
Yeah.
I'm happy that New
Shame.
Zealand is doing well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Thanks for that.
uh, Ken, I've told you this over the phone. The reason I do this is just to keep people happy for an hour or so. at least they can see us and we can share our stories. And this is the reason I've started doing this live session. I've done it with a lot of international cricketers. I've done it with Virat, Rohit, and Puff, and then it's obviously you and my Bangladeshi teammates. So I'll start. I have a few questions for you. It's nothing serious, all about cricketing stuff, and then we'll get started with it. The first question to you is, Kane, is Brandon McCullum left a legacy in New Zealand team. He was a fantastic captain, and then you have to took over. It's a similar situation with me and Mash, where Mash has done really well as a captain, and then I just got appointed now. So what are the challenges you faced when you first took over as a captain? This is what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that Mish and Brendan both led superbly well for such a long period of time, and from my perspective, it was a great opportunity to learn a lot from Brendan, and a lot of that I think is naturally by being sort of in the presence and seeing how the team operates. And then I think that the challenges when Brendan left, you were obviously you're now playing without him as a player and as a leader, and so it's sort of twofold. I'm sure Mish is still playing, so that's helpful. And one of the challenges, I guess, was we were continuing as a group, and we wanted to continue to grow, and as we all know, people get older, and you're trying to adapt with the people and the personnel that you have, and there's just always change, and it's sort of embracing that change. You need to be, I believe, authentic with your approach to leadership, and certainly tried and continue to try to do that to the best of my ability, but also as you have and we have in our team with so many other leaders that can offer so much. So making sure that those guys are offering and feel welcome and comfortable enough to help the group with any forms of leadership that they have is all of benefit. And I suppose surrounding that is just wanting to know and see the team move in a direction that you think's important. And as we know in our game, there's a lot you can't control, and there's wins and there's losses and everything in between. But you still know, I think, when the results, when they come and they go, whether you still have a gradual trend, and it's not just judged on the win or the loss. There's a lot more that goes into it, as you know, you've played the game for a long period of time. So, those were a lot of things that I know Brendan was big on, and things that are still really important, I think, to most teams.
Yeah. And I think with Brendan, I've heard a lot of stories that he always used to see a 50-over game as a 40-over game, especially during 2015 World Cup. Is that true? Because I've heard it from a lot of people.
Maybe in his own mind. Sometimes he saw it as a T20, and he'd go out. Sometimes he saw Test cricket as a one-day game even, and he'd go out and score incredibly quickly. But which was brilliant. That clearly was brilliant. It had a huge impact for our side and the success of our side. But what it was Brendan playing his natural game within the role that was important, and that was him to go out and try and win games quickly and make a real, I guess, impact. And whether that came off one day, you knew that he'd come out and go a long way to help you winning a game. If it didn't come off, you knew that there'd be every chance that it'd come off next game. And then, within the team, there's obviously a number of other players that have roles to try and fulfill to help the team in a similar way. But obviously Brendan was so gifted in his approach to the game and his aggressive approach, which really complemented the team in a big way.
Yeah. Thanks. Kane, my next question is: Mirpur should have a very special part in your heart, I think, because That's your first 100, if I'm not wrong, in Mirpur, Dhaka.
First 1 day 100. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, first
Yeah.
experience in Bangladesh, and it was incredibly hot. That's something I do remember. I remember getting a lot of cramp. So I remember after that game, knowing that professional cricketers obviously need to make sure that they eat well and they drink well and stay on top of all those things. But that was a tough tour, and you guys as an opponent, particularly in your own conditions, are formidable, and the support that you get, it does make it a real pleasure to play against.
Yeah, it was. I remember I missed the whole series because of injury, but I remember watching that game. I think it was your maybe the second game or the third game, or was it a first game where you got 100?
Third game. I didn't play the first two, and then played the third game,
Yeah, it was a great innings, and this is a lot of young player from Bangladesh wanted to know. It's regarding your preparation. Srini well from Sunrisers, who works for us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been hearing a lot of things that you make sure that you cover every bowler before a game. You prepare for every individual. So if you can please go through about how do you prepare for a T20 game or a ODI game, so that at least our young players can hear and can learn something from this.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose at the professional level, you have some video analysis, which I think, for me, I use a little bit of more observations. I don't try and spend too much time on it, but do look at it a little bit. But I think as a young player, which might be slightly more relevant, would be the preparation perhaps in the nets. And I think, I guess all the people watching and listening will all be very different in how they play their cricket, and there'll be some dashes such as yourself, Tim, and also some other players that might not have the natural power that a lot of other players have, and so I think it's important that you're trying to work with the strengths that you have and adapt your game constantly, because the opposition's always changing, the conditions, the pitches are always changing. So trying to, I guess, problem solve and work out how you can have an impact, in sort of as many situations as possible. And don't get me wrong, I think that natural power would be a gift that would be lovely to have, but there were obviously a number of other ways to try and skin it and create an impact of scoring quickly, whether that's still making sure you're getting ones and twos to give you the opportunity to get boundaries. And as we know, sometimes you get on a T20 surface and it's slow, and it may be a 140 type winning score, and you need to be able to adjust the game accordingly, because I think a lot of the time in T20 we get preempted maybe with our ideas, and it's about hitting the ball to the boundary all the time, and sometimes that's not always the best way. So having an open mind, practicing your strengths to use them to create an innings of impact would be, I think, something that's important.
Yeah, true. And Kane, playing late, which something you do really, really well. Is this something that comes naturally to you, or do you practice of playing late?
Yeah, look, I don't think it comes naturally, but certainly if you get in enough conditions where the ball seams and swings a lot, then bringing the hitting zone back a bit, I think can help, but doesn't always. As we know, you can get some good balls and you can play late, and it may not be enough, but I think it can help in some ways, and can allow you to perhaps make those later judgments. But no, I don't think it's something natural. I just think it's something that I'm always trying to improve on when it's required. But when you play in Bangladesh and some other countries, sometimes playing late isn't as helpful. So it's just trying to adapt.
Yeah, you probably look to play as much forward as you can in Bangladesh, especially.
I think so, and thanks for the tip.
No. Ken, I was speaking to Faf. This is we're going back to 2015, and then I was speaking to him, especially that game that when New Zealand qualified for the final. He told me one thing that especially our subcontinent teams can get emotional in grounds, because we normally are emotional people, but you don't see those kind of things from South Africa. They try to be very tough, doing this. But after that game, I remember each and everybody was very emotional. There were tears in their eyes and everything. But I wanted to know, I'm sure your dressing was something else. They were happy, they were cheering. But if you can let me go through a little bit regarding that game, what happened? You were in the dressing room. What were you were talking?
Mm.
I know about a little incident because me and Grant Elliott are quite good. We are good mates to each other. I remember Grant Elliott had a message after the game. I'm not sure this is the right platform to tell about all this, but if you can little bit go through about that game and what happened back in dressing room, so people can know about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredibly exciting game. Obviously, to have a World Cup in your home country is something special, and naturally you'll get a heap of support. And playing in that stadium, it's a small ground, and the crowd kind of sits on top of you a bit, so the atmosphere was amazing. And South Africa sort of, I remember, get off to a steady start, and then they rebuilt, and I remember I think it was Faf and AB started gaining some real momentum, and on that ground, you've played on it at Eden Park. You can, such small boundaries, can score really quickly, and as you know, AB, one of the most gifted players that we've ever seen. When he's going, nobody can stop him, and he started really to get going, and then the rain came, and and it rained for a period of time, and then their innings came to an end, and I don't, the revised target might have been, was it 290 or something? I think they were on 260. I think a lot of the initial work that we're able to do helped with that score perhaps being much more achievable than what someone like AB can do. If he keeps going, it can turn into anything, and especially on a ground like that. So I do think we're fortunate in that respect, but I guess such is life, and the weather came, and then 290, and it's still a tough chase on any surface, and against such a great side. That of South Africa, and we knew that they were there with really high hopes, and they had a brilliant team, and we were similar in terms of, we got off to, I think, a pretty good start. I think Brendan, did he get quite a few? I sort of 50 maybe quickly, and which he did almost every game, and then we lost a few wickets, and then I think Corey Anderson and Grant Elliott put on a partnership which took us kind of to some of those later moments. And I mean, it's one of those games, and obviously going right down to the wire. Then in a lot of ways, I was very fortunate to watch pretty much the whole thing, because I only faced a handful of deliveries, so you end up riding the emotion of the game rather than being focused and playing it. And so it's just so exciting, and the atmosphere was electric, and to win it in that fashion was pretty amazing. So naturally, the guys were pretty excited after the result, but also, as we've seen on occasions like that, when things can go either way, and when they do fall your way, you obviously respect the opposition and everything that they did to provide such an amazing fixture for people to be a part of, and we were fortunate to be on the right side of the result.
Yeah, it was a great match. I still remember. I keep on watching it on YouTube. And that six of last over was something special. From
Yeah, exactly.
There's
you
one
guys
thing
were
that
close to getting through to the. You guys.
Yeah. I think we played the quarterfinals against India.
That's right.
Yeah, and then and
Because
then
you bet England.
yes, we beat England.
Bet England, and then which
Yeah, and
good
we were
game.
very close game with you as well in
Yeah,
Hamilton. You played a
yeah,
very
yeah,
very
yeah,
tight
yeah,
game.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shakib. Oh, Mamadullah 100.
Mahmudullah 100. Yeah,
Right, Riyadh,
Mahmudullah got
yeah.
100. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
It was a good game. I think Team
Very
Saudi
good
came
game.
in and smashed few sixes and took the game over from us.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
game.
it was a good game. Regarding Kane, I wanted to talk to you about one thing that was a build-up just before the 2019 World Cup because England was playing so well, and there were scores touching 350 to 400 pretty much
Mm,
every game. And I remember people were talking about, oh, you have to score at least 320, 330 to have a chance in the World Cup to
mm,
do well. But New Zealand was one team who actually who actually scored once more than 250 in the entire tournament and still went to play the World Cup final.
mm.
Um, you knew about this?
No, not going into the tournament, but much like you mentioned that everybody expected the scores to be so high, assuming
Yeah,
the pitches would be what they were. But as we know, the pitches weren't the same as the bilateral series that they'd been
yeah,
having, and they were, I think, a really good balance between bat and ball throughout the whole tournament, which made for some really good viewing. And there was so many close matches against all different sides, and I do think that was down to the surfaces. And from our team's perspective, it was trying to adapt as quickly as possible because they were varying so much from venue to venue, and also I guess having an understanding that you could always be in the game because the wickets did offer a little bit to the bowlers, whether sometimes it spun or sometimes it swung and seamed a little bit. And then as a batting unit, if you could try and soak up some of that pressure and take an innings a little bit longer to get 240, 250, then you would always be competitive. And I think that was a strength of ours in the tournament. But we had a number of really close games, and once again, in tournament sport, high pressured situations, and it's always great that if you can win some of those close ones, then that goes a long way, obviously, to helping your causes down the end of the tournament.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Ken, this is just me. I wanted to know as because I'll probably lead Bangladesh in ODI. It's 2019 World Cup final. I don't want to take you what exactly happened, what not. I wanted to know because you were the captain, you were making the decisions, and then if you have a game like that, it's very hard to digest. Uh,
Mm.
but I wanted to know how do you overcome that situation? What was going through your mind after the game, and then how do you overcome it? And then you have to speak in front of in front of the team because you have the captain, and you can't show weaknesses. I know people got emotional. I'm sure they all got emotional, but I
Mm.
just wanted to know, just as a captain, that how did you overcome all those situations?
I mean, it was interesting. Obviously, the tournament goes for 2 months, whatever, and it's intense, and you guys are focused for long periods of time, and then to obviously get to the final and see it unfold the way it did was naturally tough to understand. Still don't think many people do understand it, but you have to accept it, and that's okay. And throughout the whole campaign, we certainly just wanted to improve from game to game and try and get a better feel for the surfaces. And it's tough, isn't it? You're always playing a different opposition every day, so it's not like a bilateral where you might learn a little bit more about someone else. So a lot of it is about the cricket that you want to play, and I think we were proud of that throughout the tournament. And as a captain, I was also proud of the way that we all look to play our cricket, and that's all we can control. And when there's things outside of your control that I suppose have a large bearing on the result, then yes, it's challenging to understand. But I think bringing yourself back to what's important and what it was that you were looking to achieve as a group, I think we could have could leave there knowing that we did give it everything and attempt to do it in the way that we wanted to. And outside of that, other people's decisions and things you can't control are always going to be there. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge, but at the end of it, you still appreciate all that went into a tournament. It's obviously not just one moment in time in terms of final over or whatever that happened. It's also so many moments throughout the whole campaign that allowed you to be in that situation. So
yeah, nice. It's nice to hear. Srini has just keep on messaging me. I don't know who is Sandy. He said Sandy is a gun slip fielder. What's this all about?
Sandy's my dog. She's
Okay.
she's asleep at the moment, but it's on my Instagram. Early on in
Okay,
our
I got it. I saw it.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw it.
that's Sandy.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
yeah.
That's Sandy. Not many people know, Kane, that you have a twin brother. And tell me something about him. Does he, growing up, you guys played cricket together? What does he play cricket still? Does he play cricket?
No, he doesn't. He's an accountant, so he's working.
Okay.
So he went to university and studied and has travelled and done all that. And he was right into his sports, but played cricket briefly. So we played a little bit together when we were younger, but not a whole heap. We sort of had other interests, which was cool. But yep, a lot of fun growing up with your twin, and always great catching up.
Yeah, yeah. And as you know, we have our own franchise tournament in BPL. This is one tournament when just before the tournament, people here in Bangladesh always want to see you come and play. So
love an invitation.
Honestly, honestly, it's like they actually want you to come and join us. Maybe when you're free, will you be interested in coming playing BPL?
I would be very interested if we can find the time. And it looks like a brilliant competition and heard a lot of really good things. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. So it will be lovely. Ken, we are almost at the end. Just one or two questions, and then we are probably done. Neil Wagner. This is what I personally wanted to know. Neil Wagner. What the things he's doing now? It's I'm sure I won't be the first person to tell you. It's not nice to face. It is not nice to face. Yeah. I still
face
remember,
him in the nets.
I still remember in the test match in Hamilton in last 2019. So I kept on ducking. He comes to me as saying, "You're ready to duck for 2 more days? Are your hamstrings strong enough?" So what made him thinking of coming with this kind of plan? Because this is something very unique, and not other people who does this, but it has been working. It has been working wonderfully for you guys. Do you remember what actually made him starting doing this?
I don't know. I'm not really that sure. Like, as you know, he's not the tallest bowler, and it's been incredibly effective. And I think maybe the trajectory, but certainly his stamina, his engine, like you say, he said, "Are you ready to do it for 2 hours or 2 days?" And he would have meant it,
Yeah.
Because he's incredibly competitive. One of the nicest guys in the world, and then he goes onto the pitch and he just gives it everything. And I mean, it's something unique, like you mentioned. It's by all accounts, it's hard to do in terms of it's so physically demanding to run in and bang it in halfway. But he's a great team player, and he just wants to do as much as he can for the team. And it's funny. There's a lot of talk, obviously, about that, but he offers a lot in other ways as well. And I think with the two new ball bowlers, sometimes when it's moving around, he doesn't get as much opportunity, but he's always very keen to get the ball in his hands, and it's very hard to get it out of his hands. That's why he wants to bowl those long spells. And as you would know, and you certainly will see, captaining, that having players that where it's hard to get the ball out of their hands is a real blessing.
Yeah, and he has been fantastic, and I think he's doing exceptionally well. This is one question, Kane, that I've asked pretty much everyone who has been in this show with me. As Abe, you have been phenomenal in all three formats. You have been doing exceptionally well, but I wanted to know, is there any time where you doubt yourself before a big game or before playing a particular game? Does doubt come to you that you're not good enough? You can do. You know what I mean? I
Bro,
think
definitely.
everyone. Yeah.
We're all human beings, man. I don't know. Do you have doubt? Because you come out and you look like you just have the most natural ability, and I think we all have different doubts, and at different times. I'm certainly it's. We play a game where there's just so many variables and things you can't control, and some days you feel good and it doesn't result in runs or wickets, and there's just so many other reasons for that, and trying to make sense of it is, I think, important when you're playing this game, because it's been able to, I think, let some of that stuff go. But the mind is an interesting thing, and you're wanting to make sure that you don't get far ahead of yourself, and don't get too down on yourself, and try and sort of stay quite level. I believe that's important, but it's definitely a challenge, because I think, speak on behalf of probably everybody listening, that there's always a want to improve and a desire to do more for your team. And when you get 100, you want 200. Whether you get 10, you want 20. It's just it's an interesting thing to get your head around. So, yes, you have doubts at different points in time and different intensities, and it's I think it's being part of as a human being. But if someone doesn't, I'd love to know.
Yeah, because I was speaking to Virat, and he said that he never doubts himself during the game, but the doubt comes when he's training. So
Okay.
if he's not hitting the ball well, the doubt comes that maybe he's not doing things right. And then as soon as he starts hitting the ball well, he's fine. But he never doubts himself in the game. So
Okay.
I think every human being is different. I think doubt
Yeah.
comes to everyone, and it's
Yeah.
just how you take it, and then how you
Yeah.
overcome it.
Different times, like you say, sometimes in training. So it's
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's good.
All
Yeah.
different situations.
Yeah, and then one of my brother-in-law actually got just settled in Auckland recently.
Oh well.
So yeah, so I have some part of my family staying in Auckland. So
Awesome, man.
when I come, yeah, that's good. King, before we finish, I just wanted to tell you one thing. We didn't have an opportunity of talking about this, but what happened in 2019 in Christchurch? I don't want to go into that details, but afterwards, the New Zealander took care of us so well, especially in the hotels. People were coming, asking us we are all right or not. There are small incident, Kane, that happened during that time that I will actually remember forever. It's not big things, because I remember when I was checking in, flying back to come back to home. I was checking in the ticket counter, and I asked that lady, said how much I'm allowed, like the weight, how much weight I'm allowed to take.
Mm.
She said, after what you have gone through, you can take whatever amount you want. So these are small things. The love the New Zealander people showed to us during that time, I think each and every member of the team will remember forever. I think even from your prime minister to everyone was exceptional, and I thank you on behalf of Bangladesh cricket team that what you guys did for us during that time, and also. Thank you very much for joining me. I think this means a lot to me and my country, that they can hear something from you, and it was really nice talking to you. Okay.
Thanks, Tamim. Thanks for those kind words as well. And obviously that event was horrific, and to think that you guys and so many others had to be close to that experience or be affected by that experience was, I think it hurt the whole country deeply, you know, and yeah, it was this incredibly sad time. But thank you, you know, for having me on here, and I hope there are a few listeners that perhaps enjoyed our conversation. Obviously, in a time like this, there's sort of not a whole heap to do, and sometimes it's tough to get outside and perhaps play some cricket or do some activities and to keep your mind off things. But you know, I hope the people of Bangladesh are finding ways to do that, finding ways to stay healthy, and like I say, all do our part to try and get rid of this thing as soon as possible.
Thank you, Kane. Thank you.
Cheers,
Before
Tamim.
leaving, just the Eid is coming very soon. If you could like to wish Bangladeshi people Eid Mubarak.
Yeah, Eid Mubarak to the Bangladeshi people. I did hear you say as well in your introduction, Assalamu alaikum, and it's such a beautiful thing, man. It's such a beautiful thing. So, you know, I hope it's all good for the people there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ken, if you can just press the leave button on the screen, and then I'll speak to you later.
Cool.
Thanks. Okay. কেন উইলিয়ামসন ছিল। আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে ওর কথাবার্তাতে আপনারা বুঝতে পারবেন যে কত ভদ্র আসলে, আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি সে এরকমই যখনই আমাদের সাথে ক্রিকেট খেলে। ইজ এ ট্রু জেন্টলম্যান, আমি বিশ্বাস করি। আমরা আমাদের শো এর অলমোস্ট শেষে। একটু বলতে খারাপও লাগছে, কারণ আমি যতদিন এই শো করেছি আমি খুবই এনজয় করেছি। তো আমাদের লাস্ট এপিসোড হবে হলো শনিবার। এই শনিবারে আমাদের এটা শেষ এপিসোড হবে। তো আশা করি আপনারা সবাই এটা দেখবেন। আর একটা জিনিস যেটা আমি বলতে চাই, যেটা আমি ক্লিয়ার করে দিতে চাই অ্যাকচুয়ালি, যেটা হলো আমি অনেকেই দেখছি যে সাকিব কখন আসবে শোতে, সাকিব কখন আসবে। যে জিনিসটা হলো, আমি তার সাথে প্রায় 7-8 দিন, 10 দিন, 12 দিন আগে যোগাযোগ করছিলাম, কারণ লাস্ট শোটা যেটা আমরা করতে চাচ্ছিলাম যে আমরা একসাথে 5 জন মিলে করব। এটাই আমার সবচেয়ে বড় ইচ্ছা ছিল। বাট আনফরচুনেটলি হয়তোবা তার কোনো ব্যক্তিগত কারণে সে আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করতে পারবে না। আর এটা আসলে এখানে কোনো আলোচনা অথবা এখানে কোনো এটা নিয়ে বেশি আলোচনা করার দরকার নেই। মানুষের পার্সোনাল কাজ থাকতে পারে, আর এটা আমাদের সবাইকে সম্মান করা উচিত। আর বাট আই এম গ্রেটফুল টু আদার 4 যারা এই জিনিসটা করতে রাজি হয়েছে। সো আমরা হয়তো বা 5 জন একসাথে করতে পারবো না, বাট আমরা 4 জন একসাথে অবশ্যই করছি। তো 23 তারিখে ঠিক 10:30টায় আমরা আমাদের এটা লাস্ট শো আমরা করবো। লাস্ট এপিসোড আমরা করবো, আর আশা করি আপনারা এনজয় করবেন। আর ইনশাল্লাহ খুব তাড়াতাড়ি দেখা হবে। থ্যাংক ইউ।